Hey, I wanted to talk about the reconsideration stage of a Social Security disability claim or an SSI claim. Um, I have opinions about it that are different from some other people, but I think about it long and hard and how we practice this area and what the reconsideration stage perhaps unintentionally can provide a claimant. So let's get into it. First, you got to know that for about 19 years, the SSA did what I would call kind of an experiment, and they eliminated the reconsideration stage in 10 states to see what it would be like. Would it be more efficient? Would it be faster for claimants and all that? They just got rid of it with all 10 states reinstating the reconsideration stage between 2019 and 2020. My state of Pennsylvania was one of the states that didn't have reconsideration, and then now it does. So a lot of criticism around having reconsideration involves the fact that it's an extra stage and more time before you can go to a judge. And that's true. And that also, and this is kind of true too, I think, as a general rule, but with exception, many of us consider the reconsideration determination to often be a rubber stamp of the decision below. That all being true, I still am in favor of reconsideration, and I want to tell you why. It is very, very common, I'd say more common than not, that a person filing an initial application for Social Security disability or SSI does not have a very robust evidentiary file of the type needed to prevail on an SSD claim. Okay, and by file, I mean the medical evidence. Sometimes they haven't been working in a couple of years because of the disabilities, but they still haven't. Probably they haven't had the knowledge of what kind of treatment or follow-up would be best for the legal case of pursuing Social Security disability or SSI. So while they're going to their PCP and they might be complaining about a bad back or gout or peripheral neuropathy, they have not been getting all of the more minute follow-up that they just aren't aware of, because it's not necessarily something they think is going to, they might not be aware of it at all, but they certainly don't know that the legal nuances to it can be affected, even if it's not necessarily going to be curing their problem. So people generally don't want to go to a specialist or pursue a particular therapy if they don't think it's going to cure them or greatly improve them. But sometimes there are reasons to do that. So when a person files, they often don't have all the extra accoutrements to their evidence that they would perhaps have if they had proper guidance and or studied up more on their own, which most people don't tend to do. So they go in, they're going to get a denial, and they do get a denial on initial. Although remember, some people win on initial. You know, it's more than 10%, I believe. And I should try to find out the current number, but I'm not going to do that right now. So they get denied on initial, and then they go to Recon. And the people that don't like Recon say it's just going to be a rubber stamp, so let's just go right to a judge. Well, here's why I don't think it's smart to go right to a judge, because you still don't have the time to build that evidence. You can have a judge's hearing. Now, granted, they seem to be taking longer again. And I just put out a video on that. But time can be extremely valuable for building a case, because you can't just go get an MRI tomorrow. Usually, a lot of people's insurances are going to require PT first, or they're just going to dig their heels in and deny, and then ultimately it might get approved. It can take many, many months. Or if you're going to get a referral to a specialist for the spine or whatever your problem is, the specialists are backed up. We have a real medical problem, medical industry problem in this country, I think. And you might be waiting 5 months for that initial, to become a new patient of that specialist or to have that consultation. So if you go right to an ALJ hearing, you don't even have that stuff yet, right? I mean, if you don't have the kind of representative that actually works on going through your file and telling you what you should be doing to help build the case so they can work with something with more evidence to help you win. It's no different really than being pro se, right? So if you don't know these things and you don't do them, you're going to go to the ALJ with the same weak evidence that you've had all along, unless you've been using and have had sufficient time to change that practice you've been doing. Another thing is, a lot of times people are denied on initial because they just left work like 5 months ago. They're not even breathing down the neck of 12 months, which is a durational requirement for Social Security disability and SSI. It's not that the 12 months has had to pass already, but those records have to be screamingly clear that you're going to be as disabled as you are now after 12 months have passed. And by and large, that is a very, very hard thing to come by. I mean, it's just not naturally in the records to begin with, you know, and you can't wave the wand and have it in there. Not only does it have to be in there, the SSA adjudicator has to actually believe it, because they do have discretion to, you know, kick comments from your treating providers to the curb. They have, unfortunately, don't have to take a treating provider as being, you know, of more substance than their own doctor behind the scenes who's never met you and just reading your that's a dog, reading your records and making a decision about you. So sometimes the benefit of reconsideration stage, particularly if you have good advice and someone actually looking at your records who's on your side and saying, oh, let's dig deeper here. Let's get this. It'll cover this little thing. It'll fill in this loophole, blah, blah, blah. Someone who knows the law and knows, you know, the law of Social Security disability and knows how you can fill in those gaps that are missing that will otherwise get you denied. You can use that time on reconsideration to get those gaps filled in. And sometimes when they're filled in, that means when they make a decision on recon, it could be an award. And I think, if I recall, it had been like a 15% were awarded on recon, maybe. Don't hold me to it. It's been years, but I'd like to find that out too. And if I do, I'll do a video on it. So you could get that flip on reconsideration if some new big bad evidence comes up, because now you're being aggressive in all the right places. Or you don't win and you get that rubber stamp. And yes, I know that's frustrating, but here's what happens. Now you're at ALJ and you've got this 12 months of strong stuff. You got to keep it strong. You got to keep pushing and make it stronger, stronger, stronger. But now you have what you would not have had for the ALJ had you not had recon. So I believe that the reconsideration stage gives you the time to build a stronger case instead of rush, rush, rush for a bad response. You know, we all want to rush, rush, rush. And I get it. You're the one living there without any money and you can't work. And it's easy for me to say since I'm not in that position, but I just know the numbers and I know what I see. I've been doing this for a really long time. And if one's going to look at success rates and the chance of winning, you know, if you want to have, you know, as a general rule, like a 90% plus win rate, where very few of your clients get denied, it's only because all that due diligence and proper use of time has been allowed to take place. Yeah, I am a firm believer that the work that you can do on recon, even though recon might not get you to the finish line, is what's going to improve your chances when you're in front of the ALJ. That ALJ is going to have far more evidence to use to come to the conclusion that you were disabled than you would have had if you didn't have recon. You know, so it's almost like a helpful evil, I suppose. And for the people that do prevail, let's say it is 15% prevail on recon, and it might not be. I just had one last week, prevail on recon. I mean, I have them regularly. It's certainly not as many as that go to ALJ, that we have to go to ALJ for sure. But for the people that did win on recon, they're ecstatic because now they don't have to do that long wait for an ALJ. They don't have to do any of that hearing prep. They don't have to keep going strong, strong, strong. Of course, once you win, you still have to go strong, but not strong, strong, strong. You do have a little bit of reprieve. So I am just a fan of reconsideration. I'm not saying it's 100% glorious, but I think the benefits of recon existing in the process far outweighs the negatives. And I also think I was reading the SSA OIG's report, where they were explaining what happened with the beta program with the 10 states, and why they, after 19 years, they came to the conclusion that it was not worthwhile to eliminate it. It was better to have it. And some of those numbers are in there. Like one of them was about, yes, a person who goes through recon and then goes to a hearing, versus a person who goes right from initial to a hearing. It was a 79-day difference in time frame in the particular year that they were citing to. So 79 days of dragging it out. That's like 2 months, a little, right? 2.5 months. In the scheme of things, I think having that extra shot on recon for the 15% that will prevail, and again, don't hold me to that number, it's worth it for that 15% chance. And then the stronger case you have for ALJ, I think, is also invaluable, as they say, priceless. The other thing they said was, well, they did talk about the people that actually went on recon and never have to go to the hearing. So, and that's something I alluded to before, but I think that was in there. I will put that, don't know if I saved it. I think I did. I'll find it again. And I will put the link to that report down below. If you don't see it, remind me, because me talking to you here is not real time when this is going to be popped up. So, and I won't have time to do it right now, but I will get to it. And I do review these later on too. But anyway, reconsideration, a necessary evil in my mind. And I know many of my colleagues totally disagree with me. So I've been tossing out some of these ideas for them that, yeah, I know we all want to get through our cases fast, but I don't want to get through my cases at an 80% win rate when it could be a 95 or a 98 or, or something higher. It's just, it's better to me, it's better for each and every client to have that opportunity if they need it, rather than have it mandatorily skipped on them. Okay. All right. That's it. Bye, guys.